All right, welcome to episode number 1 of the Hometown Sports Podcast Network. We are so excited to have this show going and to be up and running. We've been talking about doing this for a long time, and we are finally up and running. We've got our great co-host with us. We got a great guest today, and we're going to jump right in. Before we do, Hometown Sports is brought to you by Walker Mortgages. The goal of our show is to spotlight local athletes, coaches, teams, volunteers, and we are on a mission to raise $100,000 for local minor sports over the next 5 years. Today, we are really excited. We've got the president with us. We have President Taylor Buck. He is the president of Norfolk Knights Minor Hockey Association. Associations, you guys are up and rolling. I just won their 200th game last night. I got a couple teams in first place. Good for you guys. You guys are rolling. Things are going good.
Yeah, we're excited. It's been a good season so far. Lots of strong teams, as you mentioned there. I think for the most part, we're sitting well in most of our age groups, A and B. So that's good to see. We just had our U10B team go 4 for 4 in tournaments this year, so that's pretty impressive.
Exciting.
So yeah, we're excited.
Nice. Well, I want to get into a little bit of the association, but before I do, I know, being the president is a lot of work. It's a lot of thankless hours. Some parents might be surprised it's an unpaid position that you're volunteering for. So I know I spent a couple of years as the president of minor hockey. And I gave back because of guys like, when I look back to when I played minor hockey, it was the guys like Brooks Lowe and a lot of those guys, Brad Pepper, that spent a lot of time volunteering on executives. What gave you your inspiration, and why did you decide to jump into this role?
Yeah, I mean, I like you and Mr. Stiles are very fortunate to grow up here in Port Dover and play for the Port Dover Pirates. And I think back to kind of when I was starting out. You hear the names Fred Bridgewater, Neil Pankhurst. I think everybody from our vintage have had the privilege of being out with them on the ice at an early age, and it really helps just drive that fire from a young age. Just kind of growing up, Port Dover was a real fun place to play hockey. We were lucky to have a real talented group. We had some great coaching, strong executive, I think back to that atmosphere that we had, and I don't think we happened upon that by any accident. When you look behind the scenes at sort of that core group, executive and coaches, they were the ones that really helped make Port Dover hockey what it was. And, over the years, like I said, very fortunate playing in Port Dover. We had a bunch of successful teams, once OMHAs, and at the time, you're just a kid having fun. You don't think too much about the behind the scenes. And it probably wasn't until I had my own boy jumping into hockey, and you start to think about those days, and you just want them to have that same feeling that you had when you were a kid. It was such a big deal to the community. You felt like, a big part of the town. So it was sort of drawing back to that time I had. And I said, hey, I really want my boy to experience the same thing. Now I've got 3 of them. So it's, triple the feeling, I guess. And it was just a combination of things. But you feel it a lot more when you have kids playing minor hockey, right? You want it to be the best for them, and then you get out there on the ice and there's all these other kids, and it just grows from there. You want everybody to be out there having fun, loving the game just like you did as a kid. So I think for me, that's my big motivator.
Yeah.
And then it just sort of grows. You start out, and I don't even know how I got on the Dover executive. It's you have some ideas here or there, and someone says, hey, well, you should join the board. So you join the board, you hang around for a couple years, and then the Norfolk Knights, well, we need someone to go to the Norfolk Knights board from Dover. Oh, okay, I'll go. And just sort of snowballs. But I love it, right? It's, hockey is, there's so many layers to it. It's, not just the game, it's just the community that you're a part of. And, I've had a lot of hobbies over the years. I was a big outdoorsman, fishing and hunting and all that stuff. And it's hard to do all of those things. And, I think with hockey, that's something you can do with the family. You got the kids, and you're surrounded by a bunch of people that are sort of on the same page as you. So it just naturally is a place you want to be. It's fun. So I'm rambling on now, but that's
No,
sort of
no,
it
you're
in a
bang
nutshell. I
on.
could keep going, but
No, you're kind of answering my question there too, Bucky. Like I said, like you said, how you stepped into the Knights there. Like just I've obviously been your friend, growing up with you, played sports with you all my life. Seen you kind of get into that night scene, and then I seen you kind of climbing the ranks there and getting in, and yeah, doing good things here and there, and putting a lot of time, and then yeah, now climbing all the way up to the right to the top, right? And you're there for a reason. You obviously done a lot of good things. Like what keeps, like you just said, the kids, but what else keeps you motivated? Like there's so many hours that people don't understand that you actually put into it, right? So what keeps you wanting to do that other than your own kids? And like when is the where is the moment where you're just kind of like this is worth it, and I like to kind of put my passion here and my time.
yeah, and well, I mean, the root of it is the kids, right? Absolutely, like that's definitely number one. There's also that competitive side to you as well. I grew up playing competitive hockey, and when you're a part of an organization, you want to see that competitive element come out in your program. So you start looking at ways to what are some tweaks and things. Rome wasn't built in a day, right? So it's not like you can just come in and say, hey, we're going to blow this up and do all these things. Over the years, you learn a thing or two. You see what another association might be doing that works. You meet some great people along the way, and you're sort of just picking, this looks really good. Trying to find those nice fits. It's almost like a puzzle in a way. Um, and you're drawing from that competitive side and keeping obviously the kids again are number one, but you're sort of putting it all together, and it's something that I really enjoy. And it's like, you take something and you just try to make it a little bit better. And if you can do that, I think you've done your job. So it's sort of pushing to make it just a little bit better. And I think that, also very fortunate just to be surrounded by a great executive group there in Norfolk, surrounded by a bunch of awesome local associations too, with some great people.
Taylor,
So
you've
that
got
helps motivate you, right? When you're
Yeah.
supported that way, it's like, okay, let's just keep going, right?
Yeah.
Taylor, you've got a ton of responsibilities as someone who also coaches and involved in minor hockey. I wonder, as the kind of the leader, how do you balance wanting to be competitive, wanting the kids to have fun, and also making sure that your kids are getting enough out of it, even though you've got all of these other responsibilities? How does that kind of all come together for you?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and sort of stepping into this role. This is my first year in the presidency, and like you mentioned, also coaching our U10 group. There were some conversations had. It's like, okay, like, are we spreading ourselves too thin? You want to be able to give both the amount of time and effort they deserve. And I'm very fortunate with my coaching group. Like, I've got an awesome, like a bunch of like, anybody could step in and be a head coach kind of thing. And they're all in it for the right reasons. Just a great bunch of guys there. So
Good.
that helps ease that burden, I guess, a little bit. So they know if I need to maybe focus a little bit more time, on the executive side of things, they've got me covered, right? And then likewise, like with the executive group, there's going to be times when I'm away for a tournament or, we're gearing up for practice or a big game. There's always someone there to it's like, okay, what do we need to cover? And it really is just on both sides, like a collaborative effort. And I think that it goes both ways, right? For everybody sort of working together, I guess is the best way to put it. I do think if you were in a position where you didn't have that support, yeah, I think it'd be very difficult to do. But I'm sitting here lucky to have the team and the group that I have on both ends to help make you know the team successful, and you're making sure that you're covering off all the bases there. You mentioned fun development. You want to find those little successes through the season, and then on the executive side as well. So
How, like, we're what are we in year 3, year 4 now of the merger since this has happened,
oh
and
gosh, no, I should
we more
know
than
this,
that
but
now.
yeah, it is more than that. I can't believe it's already 2026. And I should it'd be great to have like Gord Malo or Adam Howe or some of the guys that were there from day one to really tell the story about how everything came together. If in a lot of ways I was sort of late to the party. I came in when things were just getting going, and
Yeah.
those first couple of years, you're just sort of sitting and learning. My contributions would be limited.
Yeah.
It was, Martin Jefferson's another one. He's been around Simcoe Minor Hockey, a name you've probably heard. Those guys
Yeah.
were all instrumental getting it off the ground. I want to say it was like 2019 when maybe the ball got rolling. And then I think
it was 2019. I was actually on the executive in Simcoe when we kind of got it
okay,
started to start the conversation. But yeah, I guess, about 2021, 2022, by the time it finally got
but it
COVID
was
kind of
tricky
threw a little
around
wrench
COVID.
into that, right? So yeah,
Yeah,
I guess
yeah.
that wrench that got thrown in there. And
So
really since then, you've really been navigating a new hockey system, right? With the OMHA kind of changing the game, some things for the better, some things,
it's
taking
crazy.
playoffs away. I don't think anybody really is a big fan of that, taking playoffs out of a small town. But what's gone well, I guess, and and in trying to deal with the changes that OMHA's putting on
Yeah,
us, putting on you
there's a
guys.
few different ways. There's many layers to it, right? Like so on on the local side, like looking within our house here in Norfolk, when everything came together, like we're still living in that I'm Waterford, I'm Dover, I'm Simcoe world,
Yeah,
right? There's that element of like regional protectionism, right? And I think back to when I played, it's like, yeah, no way I'm gonna go play the Simcoe guys, right?
could you
And they're saying
imagine?
the same
There's
thing,
no
right?
Guys,
Like
way.
yeah.
There's no
you
way.
remember those rivalries,
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
and those guys that got it together, they really are like visionaries, and they sort of saw the writing on the wall and the direction that minor hockey was going, and whether it's the right thing or the wrong thing, that's where it was going. So it's like, do we get ahead of the curve? Like, and if you look across the province, amalgamations, that's commonplace now. I look at the
truthfully,
leagues.
Norfolk was late. I remember when we were in executive meetings, we were late to the party, right? We lost the Blenheim tournament a long time. Everybody hears, well, maybe Jacob, you guys all had the Blenheim days.
Oh yeah,
Blenheim became South Kent long before any talk of a Norfolk merger happened, right? So,
And there was a lot of
and
pushback at that
Lambton was
point
really
too, right?
low.
Walks, like I remember you telling me
Ton of
that.
pushback.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember when
yeah.
you telling me like people here don't want to hear it, but it's coming one way or the other, and it's so you might as well get on board because it's
It
going to
was,
happen.
yeah, the different things. Half ice hockey was coming, whether we wanted it or not, right? A lot of those things. And I look back, and my daughter was actually the last one to play full ice the whole way up. And it's funny. I look at the kids below her and how much better they are.
it's crazy.
How well they pass the puck. And I remember we were sitting at a hockey tournament a few years ago, a girls tournament. We were watching our girls were Bantam, and we were watching an Adam game, and we couldn't believe how well these kids passed the puck, how well they moved in small spaces. Yeah, maybe they went offside a little bit more than what they should, but man,
No,
they
but
were
you
good
know what?
hockey
It's short
players.
lived. It really
It
is. And
absolutely is.
I love that you brought up half ice. I may go off on a bit of a road here,
Go on.
but it sort of ties into everything we're talking about. And you look at when Norfolk started. I'll cover that part first, right? So when I started on the board, which would have been like 2021, maybe something like that, you still felt that sort of that regional protectionism a little bit. Not so much on the board side. I think everybody was there and understood, hey, we got to make this
Yeah,
work. And it was almost like they're going back and damage control within their own association to some degree.
yeah,
Um, as we got further along, there's more kids in the program. The successes are starting to happen. You start to see that bridge narrow, right? Or the bridge come together, where there's collaboration happening. Um, and I look at where it is today, and you've that's almost been torn down completely, right? And there's been so many more kids come through the system. Like my son, he started Norfolk at U8MD. He has no idea, but like it's just the community for him is Norfolk minor hockey, right? The grandparents, the parents, they're Norfolk minor hockey parents. They're not Port Dover, they're not Waterford, they're not Simcoe, and it's the broader Norfolk community that's now come together, which I think is pretty cool,
Yeah.
right? The other part
it,
to that too, like on the minor hockey side, and I think this might have been one of the questions, but right, like what we see now, it's like, the old saying, two heads is better than one. Well, how about like 4, 5, 6 heads better than one, right? As long as we can come together in a respectful environment, like, in a respectful way, share ideas, and everyone's open, more often than not, something better is going to come out of that, right? We can all get caught in our own ways, myself included. So if we can keep an open mind, right, the possibilities are endless, especially on the hockey side. So I think we're seeing a lot of that happening now. And I look at where the partnership is, and it's without a doubt stronger than it's ever been. We've now come together on like historically, we'd go in at the beginning of the year for our ice allocation. It'd be Port Dover here, Waterford, Simcoe, Norfolk, 4 different associations going in for ice, right? All from the same trough, and we're kind of fighting and picking. I need this, I need this. Now we go in under one schedule. We have the freedom and flexibility to shift and trade ice, all 4 of us, and it benefits everybody, right? 5-6 years ago, not a chance that's happened. So that's just one example of that partnership growing stronger and stronger over the years. And there's other things as well, like on the development side, right? Like there's good hockey people from all these different communities that are now able to come together. And you even see it at U5, U6. I got my youngest boy, he's in U5. I'm talking with coaches and other centers. Hey, what are you guys working on? Right? Like there's just that, and it feels right to do.
Yeah.
But when I started with my oldest boy, I don't know, right?
Yeah.
But it's much more commonplace. So it's just, that sharing of information is so much easier and organic now, I think. And there's lots of really cool ideas that are out there. And I really think Norfolk's in a great spot. Now you mentioned the half ice. I know I'm like rambling on here. And that gets a lot of flack. And
It does.
I don't think people realize the impact of half ice has on hockey player retention. Like you think back to when we played. Hope I'm saying this the right way, but there was 3 kids that touched the puck.
Yeah.
On each
That's
team,
all.
right? So let's say you're on the back half of that. Do you want to keep playing the next year? Hey, mom and dad, I never get to touch the puck.
Yeah.
I don't like this anymore, right? And that's if you look at when we like that, like hockey was shrinking.
You had
Right?
kids that enjoyed a practice more than a game because
Yeah.
they got to do something.
Got to touch the puck. Yeah, got to shoot on the net, right? But we were losing hockey players, right? And, I don't think it takes an expert to see that maybe the way we were doing it contributes to some of those declines. You look at now it's a cross ice game. My daughter, she's U6, they play cross ice. They don't even play half ice. Every single kid has a chance to be a part of that game. The strongest skater right down to it doesn't matter. They all are in it in some form, right? And
I
the
went and watched
next,
the Port Dover, the U6 game a couple weeks ago to watch
Guys,
you guys, and
oh yeah,
just watching that hockey compared to what when my kids played. And my kids, like, you know, my daughter, she's only grade 11 right now. They're not. It's not like we're going back 20 years ago, right? Like Miley played. Like you think of that, it was a full ice. The goalies were trying to protect a full net. They were
Yeah.
still using a black puck, right? Like it's crazy to think. And I remember Wayne King coming into to an association, and everybody would kind of laugh at Wayne, like this guy. Oh, there's Grandpa yelling at the clouds, and people used to get upset about what Wayne had to say, and he was right on everything. And I remember the video he showed. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but a bunch of grown men playing pond hockey on a kind of to scale size arena, right? On a play, like it was massive, right? Like there was men trying to cover a net that was they looked like little kids playing out there. How could a little kid enjoy playing that? It was overwhelming for them, right?
well, and you look at the skill, right? I look at what like my kid, like I wasn't watching my 9-year-old son do Michigan's the other day at practice, right? Like I don't even know if I could raise a puck in that, right? Like,
It's crazy.
and there's so much more skill there, and I think it has a lot to do with some of these changes, right?
Well,
It
when
comes
I was
right.
working with the Sarnia Sting when I was in college, so we're going 20 years back. I went on scouting trips with them and with Dino, and I remember one of the biggest things they were looking at from a junior B hockey player, a minor midget hockey player, was can they shoot in stride, right? Like that was a key
Mhm.
control. Like you were going to get drafted to the OHL if you could shoot in stride. You're not going to make a novice rep team if like,
If
I
you're
know
not
it's not
shooting
novice
stride.
rep anymore, but you could make a novice rep team if you couldn't shoot in stride anymore, right?
Yeah,
And
it's
that was 20
U9
years
walk.
later. Sorry,
Could make a U9 team.
yeah. Speaking of Grandpa yelling at the clouds,
Okay.
eh? Like whatever. But yeah, you wouldn't make a U9 team if you can't shoot in stride now. It's crazy the skill, how much it's gone on.
No, but we got to be careful with it too. Like you look at, I know when I played, like you shut it down, right? Summer roll around and you go play ball, right? And I completely forget about hockey.
Yeah.
And as I
Yeah.
got a little bit older, my parents would throw me in hockey camps and stuff, which is great, right? It was like, oh yeah, hockey's still there, and I'd have fun for a week, swimming in the
Yeah.
pool
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
rec center,
Yeah.
and then you go back to ball, and then you were so jacked up and fired up to step foot on the ice come September, whenever the ice went in, right? And now it's like, and I'm guilty of it. My kid does stuff in the summer, and right, and it's going on everywhere. So you do got to watch the burnout. The kids are way more skilled for
Yes.
sure, but they are going around the clock, and um, it's something that I think we have to think a lot about. Um, and are we developing? There's some other skills out there that are we working on those other muscle groups, other things they could be doing, and just give it a bit of a break to keep that fire going. I see it with my own kid when we do have that good break, right? He is so fired up to get back on the ice, and but you look at that, there's so much going on out there. It's everywhere, right? Like there's endless opportunities. You could play 12 months of the year, no problem. You could play 15 months of the year, no problem,
Yeah.
right? Like it's
But
Well,
I don't think that's anything that you can control as a minor, as an
no,
association. Right? Like
you
there's so
can't.
much outlaw hockey and everything else going on in the spring, right? It just kind of you're stuck, right?
yeah. It's just spring tournament, summer hockey, and then
Oh yeah,
fall, and then it's hockey. But yeah, Bucky, like you said, there's a lot of players that came out, like pro players. I just seen who was it there, Morgan Geeky. I guess he used to be a hell of a ball player himself, and was like really saying how he believes in you should shut it off and go to a new sport and kind of like new skills, new things, muscles, things you wouldn't get, right? So yeah, a lot of people get into it. And you, like you said, you got to think about these kids here, right? You don't want to burn them out, and by 12, 13, they have no interest in hockey because that's all they've known, right? You got to keep it interesting. But here, go back with Norfolk. So the new news with blew up everywhere here is going up to Double A now. Kind of just lead us from how that all even started and began and how it became what it is today.
yeah. I gotta navigate this in a way I don't get myself in trouble. But no, I don't think there's anything I could say that would get myself in trouble. I think you know you got to look at the landscape, and we talked about challenges, and probably one of the biggest ones we're facing um, is open borders. How do we navigate that? Right, that came so fast, and you don't have a lot of time to prepare and think. And the impact it had on Norfolk was pretty significant. We lost a lot of good players um, and that's going to happen. Like I've always said as a coach, right? If one of my kids goes and plays AAA, that's a feather in my cap, right? But historically, the situation was you're going to play in Port Dover, Waterford, or let's just use the Norfolk example. Let's say so. 2 years ago, you're either going to be a Norfolk Knight, say you're a good player, or you're probably going to go play in Brantford, AAA. Unless somehow you get a release and you could maybe go to Cambridge or Kitchener or something, which occasionally would happen. But the vast majority of players looking to make that jump would end up in Brantford. You don't make Brantford, well, you're playing for Norfolk. Um, with open borders, um, you can go anywhere you want. You go to play for the Barrie Colts if you want. And what we've seen, like, so back to what I was saying about the AAA. So now we lost kids to Cambridge, Waterloo, Kitchener, Hamilton, and Brantford, AAA. And now there's some AA options out there as well, right? You've got Brantford, their Alliance AA/A, um, and you've got Lancaster, um, not that far for some kids either.
Woodstock in that
Um,
group too.
and yeah, Woodstock would be another one,
If
right?
you're
They're part of that
Delhi
Alliance
way,
loop.
yeah.
Yeah, right. So there's just a lot of options out there. And we looked at, how many kids are like we lost a pretty significant number of kids. There certainly is a demand for that sort of next step. We felt as an association, we look at our membership, we look at the successes of the organization. We felt that we were in a position to make that next step. Um, and it's something that when you think about, well, is it just about the extra aid? Well, not exactly, no, right? Um, it's about keeping kids in the environment that they want to be in. And again, we're learning that they want to take that jump. A lot of them do. Why can't we do it here at home? Right. So that's one factor. You're also looking at like, okay, well, what about travel? How does making the jump to double A impact travel for parents? Right. And the answer right now is we're not entirely sure because we don't know what loop we'll be in. There's a couple possibilities out there. But when we look at where we're playing now, right? Like we were, my U10 team on a Tuesday night had to go up to Ilderton, right, for 6 o'clock game. It's about a 2-hour drive. So when you look at what options would be available for double A, well, so there's Ilderton, St. Mary's, Strathroy, Stratford, Mount Bridges. These are all places we need to travel for our regular season as it sits today. So when you look at those double A options, it really isn't any different. And in most cases, it looks like it could be better. So you get the chance to play more competitive hockey. The travel really won't change. If anything, could be better. And it's going to keep some kids playing in Norfolk. I think it's a win across the board. The other risk you have is there's always a possibility someone else goes double A, right? We could have been in a situation where a number of other centers went double A. And if someone right next to you goes double A, and now there's that option that's that much closer for those kids that maybe want to try to take that jump. I don't think that you want to be the last one to that party. What history has shown us is once kids leave, it's very hard to get them back, right? And when that waterfall starts to happen, it's very, very difficult to stop. So I think it's about sort of thinking ahead and trying to position Norfolk in the best possible place we can be. Obviously, we don't have the numbers or membership base to go AAA. Double A is about as, it's probably one of the best situations I think we can put ourselves in. Now we need to go there and be successful, right? At the end of the day, and we feel that there are a lot of very quality hockey players in Norfolk, and especially some of the ones like if we can get some of the kids that it's about like repatriation. Can we get these kids that left
To come
for that
back.
opportunity to come back and play at home? I think we can have some very competitive teams.
Yeah.
Is that going to
And
increase the practice time for a lot of those kids? Like if your kid is one of the top players in, at the U10 or U11 level, if you move up to, and we'll get into the full ice time in Norfolk County situation later, but is that going to increase like their practice time on a regular weekly basis?
Like the way we look at it now is short answer is no. I think that what we offer now is very comparable to most. There's only so much ice out there, right? And when we look across the board at some other associations, I think we're right around where we need to be. We'd like it to be a little more, but I think we could run a very, we'd be very comfortable, maintaining sort of the arrangement that we have now. I think it is a good way to put it. We do miss out on a couple opportunities. Like this year, we did lose a bit of ice, but I don't think it was impactful enough where you'd see the, I don't think you would see the impact of that in the product on the ice.
Hey, Bucky, kind of piggybacking off not that question, but the one before about the moving up to double A and stuff and losing kids originally, but kind of in reverse. Do you think now with this double A, do you think we're going to get a lot of kids filtering into Norfolk system, kind of coming from, the other single A towns, Delhi, your Norwich town, kind of Haldeman down the other way? Some of those kids are even close. Do you think there's going to be a lot of people coming down just for that extra letter, or the open borders making it so available, or what do you think about that?
I mean, that's not the intention of the move, first and foremost. And like I mentioned earlier, anybody has the ability to go play where they'd like to play. Our aim here is to have a real competitive place for our Norfolk kids to play. Will some kids come try out? I'm sure they will, right? But really the core here is we want to keep these competitive, good hockey players playing hockey in Norfolk. It just pains me when there's like 30 some odd kids playing outside of Norfolk. The double A ones especially, right? Like I said, as a coach, if you've got a kid on your team that goes to play AAA and makes that next step, I'm proud of them, feather in the cap as a coach, and you wish them all the best. You know, um, but I
Bucky,
think
what
this
can
is,
you do
yeah,
outside of just another letter, right? To attract those kids back. What are the things that you need to do as an association? Is it development? Is it, um, you know, whatever else might be out there? What can you do as an association
Make it
to
more.
grow it and
yeah. I
attract
mean,
those players back
there's
and
lots of
attract other
things
players?
that you can do, and I know there's a lot of things that we'd like to do better, no question about it. And that's a great point, right? Like I don't think, we think for a second that, hey, we're just going to slap another A on here and now everybody comes, right? You have to offer quality program at the end of the day, right? And we can't lose sight of that. We're very fortunate here in Norfolk to have some very quality hockey instructors, skating instructors that we can lean on and build into our programs. I know most of the kids, they've been skating with Amanda Boyd at a Port Dover, fantastic skating coach. I think most of the Norfolk Knights that are skating today have all came up at some point or another with Amanda Boyd. Um, she teaches all those technical elements that I don't want to go anywhere near as a coach,
Great
right?
work. Good
And
It's a
advice.
she has
lot,
the,
yeah.
yeah, hey, it is, right? I know I can do it, but I don't know how to tell you to do it, right?
No,
And then there's Howie. He's been around for a long time. Amazing skills guy with the kids. He's like a kid himself. Does such a great job with the kids. And sort of a new face in town, Kelly Reed,
man,
who yeah, you'll hear that name more. And Kelly's been around for a long time. Most of his programs were out of Hamilton, Stony Creek. That way, he's worked with some real big players. Um, and continues to do so today. Well, he's just moved to Waterford, so just sort of fell into our lap, and so he's been helping out with the program as well. So, that right there, right? It's like, hey, you're playing in Norfolk. These are some of the people that you get to work with. I think that's pretty exciting. Ice time is a big one, right? And you want to be able to push it as far as you can to give like at the end of the day, right, with open borders, like you have to be competitive in that sense too, right? Like when parents are looking around, like, okay, where am I going to get the best bang for my buck? Where's my kid going to get on the ice the most, right? That is a reality. So I think we really need to be competitive there and making sure that we're giving the kids the right amount of practice. That doesn't mean every night, right? There's some people think that the kids should be on the ice every night. It's ridiculous, right? You got to have time to recover. So it's finding the balance of, the right amount of practice time, injecting the right people to help with the program, um, and then being in a competitive space, right? I don't think anybody would complain about the loops that we're playing in now. This Southern County Shamrock interlock is awesome. One of the best loops in the province. I would bet $1 million that across the board you're going to see an OMHA champion from Shamrock, Southern Counties, or Blue Water. It's very, very good hockey. Um, you know, so I think Norfolk is set up for all those reasons. Competitive space. There's some great development people that work with the program, and I do think we offer competitive ice. Now we're forgetting one of the most important things: the coaches, right? And I think we've been fortunate to have a really good roster of coaches over the years that have helped grow the program, put the program on the map, and make it a place where kids want to stay or come back. So it's trying to align all those factors, get as many of those factors in the bowl as you can to make you the most attractive that you could be.
hey, Bucky, I was saying about Kelly Reed there. Have you ever seen a smoother skater?
No,
Oh, it's
no,
just
I have.
unreal, man. It gets going so quick. It's just it's nice, nice to watch, man.
Yeah, and one of the nicest guys you could ever talk to, who really gets it. And I can't say enough good things about Kelly,
Yeah,
and I'm
good.
really excited that he's local and he's been such a great addition to Norfolk.
Absolutely.
I don't want to take up too much of your time, but we got to jump into playoffs. I know playoffs aren't the same as what they used to be. We talked about it on our first little intro episode. Mike Cook's not going to have his sign out telling everybody when to come play. I know that was always the best time of the year, right? You come around the corner and Mike Cook's got that the Pepper Pee-wees are playing on Friday night. The barn was going to be packed, but we don't get that anymore. But who do we look out for this year in the playoffs? who are the top teams that might make a run here?
Oh gosh, I don't want to get myself in trouble here. We've got we're fortunate. We got a lot of really competitive teams, and I think that any one of them could surprise you. U14s really come to mind. That's a real strong team. If you look at the My Hockey rankings, they're right up there at the top. They've had an excellent season. That's a really good team, excellent coach.
Yeah, Pelkey's done a great job with them.
He's done a phenomenal job. Our U12s were just up. They did a road trip to go play the Kent Cobras, who are ranked number 1 in the province. For an exhibition game, they came away with a 5-3 win, so that's exciting
Really?
for them. That's a gritty team. AJ Van Berlo's group there, they've been competitive every year, and would love to see them make a run here. But at the end of the day, like you've got the U16s, another really good group there too. That could, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a good number of Norfolk teams making the punching through to go play for a Red Hat this year. I really wouldn't.
Is it a different approach? Is it a different approach, Taylor? With now when we all played, we're kind of dating ourselves, but when we all played, you went through 4 or 5 different series to get to the final. Now you get to a certain point, and for people that don't know, now you go away to essentially a weekend tournament, right? With a small group of other teams. Does that change the approach, and what are your thoughts on that way of doing things as well?
It's changed my approach as a coach. I can't speak for everyone else. You're sort of building for that weekend. You want to peak at that weekend. I don't love the new setup. It's like thinking back to when I played, and having those 5 rounds.
Yeah.
And
final game
and I was again,
all your buddies are there.
I was fortunate. Like we were going deep every year, and it was awesome. But now you think about some of those teams that did, and you get bounced the first round, and your season's essentially done in January for the most. You know what I mean? You're not playing competitive hockey.
League playoffs, that's about it.
So selfishly, I'm like, my team's going to go deep every year. What are we doing? Let's do 5 rounds. This is the best. The barn's packed every day, right?
Oh,
You're a celebrity in town, but
Bucky, I was saying, you said on our first episode, the fan buses. How cool!
Yeah, exactly, right.
It was unreal.
But you have to think about the other side of it too. And if you are that team that you're maybe not the strongest group, you get bounced every year in January. You don't love it as much. So I do think this year it's going to be a bit of a different feel. I don't know how the format exactly works for the Southern Counties playdowns, but there will be some form of playdowns within Southern Counties. And it sounds like the final will be a best of 5. So we'll get a little bit of that back.
Like that, yeah.
It's just, it's tough for to lay it all on the line, and just like that tournament, like you got one bad game.
That's solid, yeah, right.
You could be done.
Or a couple injuries going into a weekend or something like that too, or sickness going through the team. Like it doesn't take much, right?
Fantasy hockey week, and you.
Right.
I could write a book on styles. I could write a book about that.
It would be nice to see them move it around. Like it's in Whitby every year. It seems a little bit, like maybe have
even in
associations
Brantford,
get on it or something. Hey, be great. I'd love that.
Hey, that's the U9s will be doing then, going up to Whitby.
No, you don't get to do the playdowns this year.
We don't. Okay, I didn't think.
Come on, you got to know that.
I was gonna say I haven't heard anything about it.
Come on, coach.
No, I think you guys do a Southern Counties tournament or something, and then call it a day.
Yeah.
But so I think it'll feel a little more exciting around the barns this year in Norfolk, because you will have that playdown feel. I think last year it was just some big, long, drawn out round robin, and then a couple teams played off in a 3-game series, and that was that.
A lot different than a 5-game series against a team
swing.
like from 3 hours away too, right?
Yeah.
With the fan buses, and then they come to you, and we chatted about that in the first episode. Like those are things you never forget. And hey, it's great to go to Whitby, and you have your parents and some grandparents and maybe some friends, but it's different when the whole town shows up.
Yeah.
Completely different. Yeah, absolutely.
We also, there was a time, you put way too much into a novice OMHA championship, right? Like we had guys living their whole life over that. I was one of them. I can remember it, right? When my kids were in novice, we've definitely went a little too far one way. I think we came back too far the other way with just the round robin. It's good to see we're going to see some playoffs again. Now, if anybody wants to watch some playoffs or check out some playoff hockey, how do they find it? How do they watch these teams? Where the schedule is going to be posted? I'm guessing
Yeah,
you're
I
not going to
mean,
get Mike Cook to put his sign back up, but
yeah, I got to give Mike a call. We'll see if we can get him
yeah.
on that. But we'll have to do it in a few different communities. I don't know if he wants to make the drive around the county to do it. But
Walker's
yeah, I
banned from
think that
doing it, and Tim Hortons and Simcoe. We got into that last
Yeah.
episode.
yeah, I think one area we're trying to improve is like sort of our social media presence out there, and I think that we'd like to have all that stuff sort of posted on the Knights page. It can be a little bit cumbersome, maybe especially for some of the grandparents to navigate around the website to find, okay, when's my grandson play or my granddaughter play. It's but that's the best place to look as of right now would be going on to the Norfolk Knights website, and then just looking at the calendar. We do plan on having some much more of that sort of social media presence as we get closer to playoffs, letting people know where they can find that, or when we're playing, etc. So that would be on Instagram, Facebook, etc. You guys will
Yeah.
be promoting it, I'm sure as well. So
We will.
Hey, Bucky, with that all, like, if you ever talk to any of the teams, Walk's been trying to say, like, promote this Norfolk sports page, and like send us your scores, send us your playoff schedule, all that. Like, we reshare it and try to
yeah,
get
no,
it.
that's awesome. Honestly, like I didn't know about it, and then someone was like, "Hey, there's like a write up for your team on here." I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
cool." When we
Yeah.
won
Well,
the
that's our
CC,
goal. That's what we're trying to do is, and Jacob, he's been with the Reformer forever. And we talked a little bit before of, there used to be 10 guys at the Reformer running that. There's now just Jacobs by himself, right? He looks around. He's the
and he
only
does
one
a
there.
great
So
job.
he
Appreciate
does
it.
do a great
Appreciate
job. But, unfortunately, you can't share the stuff on social media because there's bans on that. So that's where we want to fill in and try and help out a lot. So if you go to hometownsportsnetwork.ca, there's a spot to submit your scores. You can feature your athlete. You can feature your team. Just drop it in there, and we'll do our best to make sure everything's covered. We want to make sure that we're a little bit of a resource for all of your teams as we head into playoffs. Taylor, I really appreciate your time today. Taking some time out of your day. I know you're busy as a volunteer to promote a little bit of what's going on with Norfolk, but thanks so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
No, I didn't. I was hoping I would get to skip out on bedtime, but you guys are cutting it short. So.
Right on time. Thanks, Taylor. Appreciate
Okay.
you, man.
Yeah, no
Thanks.
problem. Thanks a lot, guys. Yeah,
Buddy.
all the best. Okay, take care.
See you around, Bucky.
Yeah, take care. Bye.